Hey guys, welcome. This is the Game of Money. You obviously know who I am. No need to go over that. This podcast is sponsored not by Nike, not by, I don't know, Procter & Gamble, but by Pitch Anything, the book. So basically by me, I pay for it all. I pay for the studio. I pay for the distribution. Howdy, you don't join anything. All you do is make sure to buy a copy of Pitch Anything or the follow-on Flip the Script. If you already have one, no problem. Makes an excellent coffee holder, or don't get those rings on your beautiful desk or thing. And it also is a great gift, but you can read it too. But that is not what's important. The name that's important here is Gil Valerio. So Gil has done something that I think is quite amazing, has used his business skills, his sales acumen, his marketing know-how to transition into private equity. If I had to roll a dice and say, what are the chances of somebody doing this? It's very low. And the reason is what we're going to talk about, the things that work in sales environments, in marketing environments, in closing tend to be fairly toxic to the capital markets. So Gil, that's something I want to talk to you about is what is as you started to make this transition from what I would call typical business skills, sales, marketing, products, services, value proposition, gross margin, running a business, which and entrepreneurialism, what did you see as you started moving into private equity? So tell us a little bit about your background for the people who don't know you as well.
Quickly to summarize, I launched a chain of gyms back in Illinois, scaled those up. I began running ads for my gyms digitally, obviously. I hired a bunch, I fired a bunch, I moved to the next one. So we ran our own ads. We built our own back-end automation system.
Okay, hold on, just because I like to be precise. We went from I to we.
Yeah.
So who then became we?
Yeah, it took me 3 months to hire my first person. So my next 7 were all overseas.
Got it. So you got the marketing to work. And then give us just some numbers like the cost to acquire a customer, the value of a customer, conversion rates, and how long it would take for the marketing to get profitable.
These numbers changed very rapidly because
100%, like some macros.
Yeah. So cost to acquire a client when we first started doing it was like $400. I was like, this is great. And a lot of it was coming word of mouth. When we started running our own national paid ads, that went up to 1,100. And we had a problem. Our LTV at the time was like 3,800. So 1,100 CAC to acquire them. 3,800, there wasn't a lot left over, especially after we started scaling. So and I want to make sure, did I miss any metrics in there that you asked about?
No, that's good.
Conversion percentage was like 70%, but I was taking all the calls. As soon as I brought in a sales team, it dropped. I had to let them fall on their face a bit. And then we worked our way back up till we were closing about 60% of those that showed up.
Awesome. Let's see. Then you've got all these skills. You're charismatic. By the way, where do these sales skills come from? So what were you doing before that led you into having these capabilities, these superpowers?
Residential fiber optic sales for high rises in Chicago. Comcast, AT&T, all the developers, large residential developers. I would negotiate the fiber optic contracts for those buildings.
Just sell me some fiber optic contract. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Gil, we got to get faster. We're on Wi-Fi. We're borrowing from the neighbor. Our business is scaling. We're dropping out, like we're doing podcasts. We're moving more high security content around, and we just really need to move into our own fiber. And we're looking around.
Yeah. Oren, tell me about your residents. Tell me about your building. Are these high-end apartments? Are these mid-tier? Give me a little bit of insight on the demographic.
Since it's West Hollywood, it's all over the place. You can have starving artists that there's 3 of them in an apartment. You can have somebody who's established, that's lived here for years and just doesn't want to move. Our tenants are all over the map.
Okay. And what you mentioned some different things that you have going on in the building today. What are some of the challenges you're encountering today, or your residents are encountering?
Yeah, the residents complain about dropout. They're trying to watch something, trying to download something, and they've been downloading something for 2.5 hours, and at the 30 seconds left, it goes couldn't download, and then they call us raising hell.
So aside from them calling and raising hell, why is this important to you as the building owner?
I don't know. It's just, look, this is one of 20 things I have to do today, Gil.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let me get more specific in my question. Poor internet service, if that's shared, let's say on your Google page where they talk about your residential building, if poor internet service and connectivity is something that is a common complaint, what does that impact? Help me out here.
I'm really interested to know how much it is.
How much our service is?
Yeah, how much is the service? Yeah, because I
Yeah,
want to get some
well,
quotes.
absolutely. Yeah, it depends. I would say this, it's an investment in your building, but do you believe that poor internet service, quality, dropout, is that impacting, I don't know, is that impacting your rent rates? Help me out
It,
here.
it it does, but my friend told me that you got Verizon, AT&T, all you guys are exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's just about price.
Absolutely. There's similarities, but we're obviously not the same, especially if you're experiencing dropout. So what I've heard is you're looking to fix a problem. You're not just price shopping, or am I mistaken?
That's good. Yeah, it's good. All right. That's where I wanted to get to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. So how did you tell me how you got there where I was waiting for you to put it back on me where I got out of control because I was controlling the conversation. And eventually you were like, you're taking taking hits back up. And then it was like jab, right cross, and you got control of back. What was going on in your mind that you got control of the conversation back?
I want to give you a quick story about this. And this is where I loved reading Pitch Anything because I felt things intuitively in conversations that I would have with any prospect or any people that I talked with, but I never saw it. I never heard it articulated, explained, and on paper until I read Pitch Anything, or until I listened on Audible to Pitch Anything. An example of this is I had someone very early on in my marketing agency, and I was nervous and I was new to it. And I was still fighting my way through competition and all these things. And I'm talking to her, this is female doctor, and we're mid conversation and I'm going through my pitch and I got my pretty deck up and it's designed perfectly. And I'm like, I'm going to kill this. And about 5 minutes in, she's looking at me. Everything's fine. She goes, Gil, do me a favor. Cut the shit. What does it cost? What is this? I'm busy. And in that moment, I didn't know, I hadn't read or listened to Pitch Anything, but I quickly thought I can get defensive here and try to, oh my God, I'm sorry. I don't mean to waste your time. And let me answer your questions. Or I can meet fire with fire a bit. And so I said to her, I stopped my presentation share and I just said, okay, let's cut the shit. What do you want? What are you why are we here? Why are we talking today? And how can I help you? Because I'm busy as well, but I am here to help you, right? That's why I created this business. And there was a little bit more to that, but the conversation lasted 18 more minutes. I remember because I recorded it on Zoom and I rewatched it back. It lasted 18 more minutes and she swiped the credit card for $7,000 before she got off the call, right? It took less time than my typical pitch. I didn't feed it and I didn't understand what happened at that moment, but the frame shifted.
So I really like this. And I think we're breaking, even for me, new territory here. And what jumps to my mind in the way that you describe this is something new to me, which doesn't happen, never happens. By getting these podcasts, I control 99% of it. I don't feel like, but for me, I think we're touching on new territory. And that is this: how much honesty can this person handle? Because the faster you can get into honesty and truth and what it really is, and get everybody drop their masks and get what they really need, the more precise the conversation is going to be, the more clear the value of you as an individual is, in addition to the product. The problem is with Pitch Anything is people read it and then they over honest and they go too far. What I think is really interesting for me, because I've talked to investors every day. We're going to talk about your investors and how you got them there. An investment is different from a sale. And look, man, what do you think you're putting $50,000 into a project that already has $20 million into it? What do you think you are going to really discover with all these questions? Like, right? You're coming in, oh, we forgot to do macroeconomics. We forgot to get an accounting firm. We forgot to do an audit. We don't know how to get an occupancy permit. We don't have intellectual property. Like the other $20 million that came in. Have you ever done this before? You haven't. I know you haven't from these questions. You've never done this before, right? But I'm talking to the investor. But you're going to waltz in here, and on top of the people who've been doing this for 20 years and have $20 million in it, you're going to find this fatal flaw in the occupancy permit, right? What do you want to do? Do you want to ride along in a private equity deal and make money with your capital with some people working onside you as a limited partner? Or you want to angel invest in a new kind of dog food? As soon as you tell me what you want to do, I can help you, because it feels like there's zero trust. You read the documents, you heard the pitch, but you feel like with your $50,000, you need to jump in and control a $20 million deal, and that confuses me. Now I understand. And so that level of honesty for people who can get themselves there is very helpful, because I see people go, hey man, you're exactly right. And then some people are going, hey, I just want to know the answer to the question. And so I'm trying to figure out like how much honesty somebody can actually absorb, because the faster we can get to the truth, the easier the deal is. How does that relate to your experiences?
Yeah, I love this. And some of the partners that I have that are still actively running the marketing agencies, this is something we talk about all the time and we share with the sales teams. I think I would just back up to what you said, and I would say it like this. How much honesty and transparency can you have with that person while still having some type of strategy behind it? Because if you're just sharing and there's nothing, there's no logic or way that you're driving the conversation, like they might trust you, but what are they getting out of it? So I like using real life examples.
Well, and talk me through how you set boundaries, right, within the real life example, because I feel like honesty then comes with boundaries in the strategy. The strategy is the boundaries. So if somebody wants to, I wanted to talk about price in that role play that we did, but you're like, hey, I got to quickly get some boundaries around this, because price is going to move outside of the fence where I'm willing to participate. And so you're like, I got to bring this back under control quickly. So honesty, strategy, and boundaries. Talk me through that.
Yeah, boundaries, I try to connect it with whatever their needs are, whatever they're looking. So in that example with price, it's you just want me to throw a price at you without understanding what problem you're trying to solve, what you're trying to, that wouldn't be fair to you, right? I would literally, if I just say, Oren, this is going to cost you $20,000 a month, I'm wasting your time. And also I'm lying. I don't know that I could solve your problem yet, because I don't even fully understand or comprehend your problem. We might get to a point in the conversation where it is a waste of time for me to share pricing with you, because I don't know if I could help you yet. And every other sales guy is going to do that with you, or every other digital marketing company, or every other fiber optic company is going to do that with you. I'm not going to do that. I want to know that you need what we have and I can actually deliver it for you. So it's a waste of both of our time. Sure, you want me to tell you price? I'll just tell you, but then we still have to go through everything that we're going to go through. Right? Like, to me, is one example with pricing, but with honesty, transparency, openness, like something everybody would come out the gates gunning, blazing. You even said it with the fiber optic thing, but digital marketing even more, because the barrier to entry in that game is very low. There's 1 million low-level digital marketers. From the prospect's perspective, they don't know the difference. So everybody gets on the call or gets on Zoom and they go, you're all the same. Tell me what's different about you. The first thing I would always say that is nothing.
Oh my God, this is amazing. I've never met, so I've done shows, I've done podcasts, I've done content. When people say to me, what's the difference between you and another investment bank? I go, what's the difference between us and another investment bank? Nothing. Yep. Like, what the fuck do you think goes on here? Investment banks do investment banking. If there was something different, you would be concerned. We do financial modeling, we do pitch decks, we do outreach, we do a securities, we do a PPM, we bring in legal, and we look for capital for your crazy company. That's what from JP Morgan down to one man and a dog, that's what every investment bank does. The exact same thing, right? The question is not how are we different, it is, can we get it done? And that's a different question.
Yeah. Yeah. And listening to you right there, immediately my feeling is he's being honest with me. He's being real. I understand better now. Okay. Now I'm intrigued to hear what else he has to say. And so and what I would do is I would say nothing. We run digital ads. This is not rocket science. I don't have a wand to wave that's going to get you better results than everybody else. But let me share some things that I am proud of that we do inside our business.
I'm going to give you two things, things that I add in there, and then we'll let you keep going.
Please,
didn't mean to interrupt.
This is free game for me.
Yeah. So we get to how much is it? Like, what are your fees? I go, what are the fees? Go ahead and ask me. What are the fees? You ask me.
What are the fees, Oren? What does it cost?
The fees, I'll tell you exactly what they are. I don't know if you have a pen to write it down or whatever. Here's what the fees are. More than you want to pay and less than we want to charge. That's always the fee. All right. Look, here's what we got to go through it. Right? My buddy Gil has to do these contracts for fiber optic. Exact same thing. People go, it's fiber optics. How much can it be? It's exactly what it is. And it's more than anybody wants to pay, less than he wants to charge. So Gil and I are the same in that when we finally lift up the price and show what he is, you'll go, yeah, that's what I thought. Straight down the middle of the fairway. That is not the issue. Once I understand what you need, we price it, right? And that's the same as every other, it's securities. It's straight down the middle. Every bank was the same. I know it's 7 and 7 and $250,000 and $33,000 and $150 an hour. What do you want me to tell you? Let's figure out what you're trying to do and see if we're interested in doing that. What happens is, right, it's not how much is it, it's this, right? What kind of firm do you want? Because guys in your position, there's 3 different categories, right? You want Goldman Sachs because you want to tell your wife, you want to tell your comrades at the club, you want to tell your dad that you're working with Goldman Sachs. Except who do you think at Goldman Sachs is going to work on your crappy company, right? Interns. Yeah, you're doing $75 million and $20 million of EBITDA. That's amazing, right? Over here, you would be like one of our best clients. At Goldman Sachs, they would not give you the interns. They would give you the interns that are being punished. You go do that. Because the fees over there, and you go out bragging, oh, we got Goldman Sachs. The fees on raising $15 million for you wouldn't pay for a morning of an offsite for one of the senior partners. So the question is, do you want a firm where you're a fit and you be an important big client and execute on it? Or do you want to be, so I don't know, you have to tell me, what do you want to do? And so that's how I hit all those topics and get and flip it around to where I don't know what you want. And until you tell me what you want, the rest of it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And again, listening to you, what I heard in the beginning is we're the same as everyone else, but you just told me why you're unique for me, right?
Right.
Now I understand you all do the same thing, but me specifically, you're unique because of those reasons. So that is what I would try to get to in digital marketing, because we're all the same initially to them. So why are we different, or why are we unique to that person that we're speaking with? And if I could find either commonality with a prior client that we have, or an issue that they're experiencing, or something that is a little unique, but I don't open up, come out and say, we're the best because we do this differently or this differently. I actually do the opposite. Say, we do everything the same, but hold on, let me just share what we've created right here. And
so in general, I find people cannot get here unless there's something else in their life that has where they're running really high integrity game. They have a family, they have a relationship, they have an illness, they are taking care of people, they're on a team, they're involved in something. I feel like salespeople can't just walk into integrity game without having something else connect in their life. What are we seeing here from you? How are you getting in, what's going on in your life that you had exposure to integrity game?
I never really thought about that, but it makes sense. I experienced, for the majority of my teenage and childhood years, the exact opposite of integrity and the opposite of normal functioning family. Alcoholism, lying, cheating, stealing. Father went to prison when I was 9 years old, federal prison when I was 9 years old. Mother dropped dead of a overdose when she was 57.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. And the reason I share all this is not just to make this a compelling conversation, is that I believe, whether it's in my daily actions, my integrity, the way I'm a father, the way I'm a husband, the way I take care of my health and my wellness, is all a result of witnessing that and just finally coming to a point where I went, I'm going to take all this as an example and go the other way. I tell this story all the time, but the story of two brothers, have you heard that, where they had alcoholic parents? Have you heard this before?
No.
So quickly, there's two brothers, they have alcoholic, terrible parents, and they both grow up watching their parents as alcoholics and commit all this atrocity. And one of them grows up alcoholic, trouble, prison, all of these things. And they ask him, why are you the way you are? And he said, look at my parents. I followed my parents. The other one ends up going to school, doesn't drink, has a good career, family, great father. They said, why are you the way you are? And he says, I watched my parents. For me, I'm fortunate, God bless, that I feel like became that other brother. I just took all the poor examples, the lying, integrity, and I just went, I just don't want to be this type of person. You get just fed up. Maybe that shaped that into the sales process, into being
amazing,
open, and yeah.
What a great story. I've really, if it's, you could tell, and so you've got a son, or you've got kids?
I have a 3-year-old son, and I have a daughter who's going to be 7 in 3 days.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Yeah. I have a 10-year-old. He's just started 5th grade today.
Hockey player, right?
Yeah. The hockey player. And your son's young, but what does your daughter play sports, or what is she involved in?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Gymnastics. She loves gymnastics. She's so amazing at it. I don't know where she gets it from, because maybe her mom's a little flexible. I'm not flexible at all, but she's so good at it. She's so dedicated. Yeah. It's amazing. That's this awesome. Age right now, watching her is just impressive. I
would say also get her on a team sport, maybe volleyball or something where there's a team. We see, because my son we were go-karting, which is a very individual sport. It's just dad and son, which is awesome, but it's individual performance. And then we were also playing hockey, but the hockey we've really gravitated to. Now he's on a AA team, but it's because it's a team sport. There's just a lot to deal with. You have that inner game for sure that you have in a gymnastics, but you've got a team to relate to. You've got coaches to relate to. There's this team sense, which is irreplaceable. So I love to give people at least a backwards look from what I went through. It is so enticing to have these individual sports that your kid plays because you can relate to them on it. Like they're inside their head and you can see their development. But in a team sport, they're getting all this social. It's not the benefits of social interaction, because you probably have that with her friends. You probably have that at school. It's the negatives. Yeah. It's the locker room talk. It's exposed when you're not there, the stuff they're exposed to. So they just get exposed to a lot more social challenges in the team environment that they have to overcome. And I love that. So I think
that's awesome. Great advice. And I'm a bit of a loner myself, just in everything I do and how I operate. So I don't know that she'll get that from me. Her mom's very social, friends, and my wife. So that's good advice. And I will take that advice. And she does like soccer and she likes team sports. She just has gravitated towards gymnastics. She's so good at it. She's so committed. I'm just like, I'm going to let you go and see where you take this. So yeah. I really
had a sense there was something behind there. As I said before, and for everybody listening, nobody gets to integrity game through money. They get there some other way. So when you see it, always try and find out from people what's going on behind there. And then what you're really looking for me is the mask dropping. I'm part of an organization. I don't want to be part of any organization that wants me in it, but I'm part of an organization called Warrior in Newport Beach, run by a guy named Sam Falsafi. And what I love about this group, this happens to be only men for good reason, but it is the dropping of masks. So you go in there and everybody has dropped their mask, because ultimately everybody has the same money problems, wife problems, kids. So if you think about it, you have a business, you have a wife, a relationship, primary relationship, you have kids, and you have yourself. It's an impossible matrix to keep in balance. And so no matter what, you always have to be, as much as you think you have it, you have to be working on it. Because if your business is going well, you look beneath it, you're robbing time with your wife, because businesses today are very engrossing, right? Your kid is starting to grow in 7, 8, 9. You're like, oh, I got to really focus, go to the gymnastic contest. That sucks you away from your business and your wife. So now you got your business, your wife, and your child dialed in this magic iron triangle. And what happens? You look down and you go, I'm going to shit. I'm missing, I look in the mirror, that's not me. So you don't have to be a lone wolf anymore. Let's bring you in to a group, because it's just not possible to wear. And so what happens is you look in the mirror and you go, that's not me. And now you need a mask and to survive all those. But all men have got to figure out some compromise and some way of focusing on one thing or another thing at some point in time, and not acting like everything's perfect, because it's not. And that requires the dropping of masks. When you see somebody dropping masks voluntarily, there's something going on there that has allowed them to step into that integrity space.
Yeah, that is very powerful. And there've been times in my life when I know we're getting further from capital and we're getting deep philosophical, but this is good. There have been times in my life where I always say I have 4 buckets. I have God, I have my family, I have my health and wellness, and I have business. And outside of that, I don't really make much time for it. Friends and relationships, and even that, I've never prioritized it. But at times, I've had all 4 of those things hitting, right? Everything's going good. And I notice my mental health starts to break down. And I never had, aside from my wife, I never had a group of entrepreneurs or peers that I could share with. And I was talking about this with a friend of mine the other day. I went to YouTube, like speakers like Eric Thomas and Goggins and all these people, like that was my outlet. Like I would hear their stories and I would relate and I would feel like I understood and I knew them. And I was like, if I had a conversation with them, I think they would understand me. For many years, like that was my outlet. I don't think that's the best thing. And the thought of a network is probably healthier, but
I'm going to invite you something on September 26th that I think is perfect for you, awesome. That I'm going to. So we'll talk about that. So then
I might be going, by the way. Is it a cruise?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Something different. Yes.
Okay.
No, this is much better. We drag you out in the ocean. We drown proof you, attach you to a boat, tie you around, and then spray your face with shaving cream, shave off one eyebrow, and then drop you into Chicago with no clothes and tell you to come up with $1 million in 2 days. It's simple. You'll
That
enjoy
sounds
it.
like that sounds
Yeah.
like one of my old Saturday nights when I was a teenager.
Yeah, that's what I used to say. Somebody else's lawn sprinkler was my alarm clock. Now you've got control of the business, and where do you first hear about private equity? Like, how do you even encounter this word?
Oh man, social media, right? I remember I heard a phrase, you've heard it a million times, that 90% of millionaires come from real estate, 100% of billionaires come from private equity. I was like, huh, that's an interesting. Let me look more into that. That sounds fancy and cool and important, whatever. And during that semi-retirement period where I sold my business and I was finding myself and what I'm going to do next, I took days, weeks where I wrote down every business plan. Am I going to be a real estate guy? Am I going to create software? And I kept coming back to private equity, not because the word's fancy and not because 100% of billionaires come from it, but because I love the game of business. I love it. And I already had a plan to take the capital, take the proceeds from my exit from my business and buy more businesses. In fact, I already did it. I had already 2 months after selling, I purchased a business. I bought equity in a business. And I was just going to do it myself. I was like, I don't need to raise capital. I'm going to take my money. I'm going to buy businesses and I'm going to get 6 or 7 and I'm going to balance those. And I realized at some point I only have so much money. That's not scalable. So how can I do this at a bigger level? And I heard a story about a fix and flip real estate guy where he was doing 3 flips a year. And then he was doing 70 a year because he launched a real estate fund. And that's really what pushed me towards it.
Amazing. Okay. Now, when you say you got pushed towards it, then what was your thesis? So you said, hey, I want to enter private equity. How?
Yeah. So digital marketing, digital businesses in general, one of the problems I shared with you earlier is the barrier to entry is very low. What that does, I'll say this, barrier to entry is very low. However, I believe these are cash cow businesses. I've seen a lot of incompetent CEOs and entrepreneurs scale them up to a couple hundred grand a month very quickly. That results in the industry being fragmented. We talked about it earlier, competition. There's a million different digital marketing companies in all different niches and sectors, all doing the same things and all competing against each other and just taking each other's clients. So my thesis was, can I consolidate part or all of this industry? Can I begin to acquire different digital marketing and SaaS agencies in different sectors and bring them together in a portfolio and even handle the M&A part of it and create a portfolio that's worth, my goal is to exit the portfolio within 6 years at $100 million or more.
Okay. So then what was your impression of how you make capital, how you make money, how you as the fund manager make money in a fund? Because I feel like that's somewhere that people fetishize. It's something that people fetishize. Hey, I'm going to be a fund manager. And fund managers are going to make a lot of money. But when you started looking at the economics, what did you see in the economics of managing a fund?
So it was a pleasant surprise, first of all, for me, because I didn't think about that aspect of it. I thought about, can I get other people's money to buy businesses when I run out of money? That was all I was thinking about. So when I came across IRR and financial calculators and the fund side of it, doing fund management side of it, doing my calculations, I think it was like, I looked and over a 6-year period, it was like an extra 18 million. Not crazy, but I was like, okay, this is 18 million in additional profits that I was not going to make with this portfolio. But I'll say this, I did not fantasize about this, or I didn't build this up, or I still to this day could care less, honestly, if I'm a fund manager or not. Now, I know I'm going to have a responsibility to be a good steward of investors' money, and I want to make sure that I do that. But I just want to be involved in something that has no ceiling on it. And I love business. I love the game of business. And it really boils down to me running out of my own money at some point. How many businesses can I acquire before I can't talk a bank in to give me more, or I can't put less down, or I can't do owner financing or pay earnouts or all of these things? With my first fund, very conservative on the fund management side of it. I'm not asking for a lot from my investors because I want to prove myself. And I do plan on scaling that aspect of it as well. So if I heard you, it sounds, and I've seen this from some of the networks I'm in, it feels like, I could be wrong, I don't want to categorize, or I don't want to make assumptions, but it feels like people jump into this game because they're like, I want to be in the financial game. I want to be a fund manager. I want that title. I want to make money off managing people's money. I don't care about that. I don't know if this is good or bad, but I'm just being honest. I don't care about that. I want to play the game of business for as long as I can, and I want to do it at the highest level that I can. And to me, this seems like the logical path to take.
So I like it. A couple things. So what's your fund? What is your thesis? So what is the fund thesis?
Yeah. So hopefully, again, I'm by no means a pro in this, but hopefully I answer this correctly. We are a private equity firm that focuses on the strategic roll-up of digital enterprises, right? So I have a large private community. This is where I get my deal opportunities from, where I'm getting them. My first deal, I got 70% below the enterprise value of that business because of the relationship I had with the CEO. They brought me in and said, sure, I'll sell it to you less. We're going to leverage that network to do as many partnerships as possible. And we're rolling them up once we break small businesses, but once we break 10 million in EBITDA from notable transactions, statistically speaking, the exit multiplier goes up dramatically, 450% compared to where these businesses are today. So not only do we get in the deal with healthy equity by buying them below the enterprise value, through the roll up, we're adding value to them based on collective EBITDA.
Got it. So I think for me, and I'm running your fund, is it can help in any way in the few minutes that we have. It will be this. I think what you described to me is your business plan. What I think would be very helpful for you to say, look, I've been in this space for a long time, right? And as you can imagine, digital marketing, which relies on fundamental technologies. Internet came along in 1999, and then advertising came along in 2002, scaled through 2008, then video advertising came, then Facebook, and then social media. And so you see these shifts that are dependent on technology, but the tectonic plates are always moving. And so where people have really made money so this business plan, which I love giving people the notion that this has been done for 25 years now. Digital marketing, roll up of agency, selling up to private equity, or going public. So the business plan has been done over and over again successfully. What matters here is correctly understanding the movement of the tectonic plates of consumer demand, of business demand, of technology, and what kind of services businesses are willing to pay for versus what they think they can do on their own. And then if you get that, and then you snap together 2, 3, 4, 5, then 8 agencies, right? And you have something that punches above its revenue and income weight, because it is a very difficult thing for a private equity group to build over time. It requires pulling lots and lots of little levers. So the question is, what are the moving tectonic plates in our industry? This is the shift that we have seen, right? That if you go upstream, because they're worried about all kinds of other things they don't have a good awareness of, and they're not able to, but for the size we are and the space we're in, we very clearly see this shift. So in the same way, if you could get ahead of the shift from MySpace to Facebook, if you get the shift ahead of these, I don't know your space as well, if you got ahead of those, you made a lot of money. But it fundamentally boils down to what are the shifting plates in this industry? Technology, demand, and so I guess technology, demand, and pricing, right? And capability. And so in our experience, this is how we see the market changing. And this is where we see more demand than supply for services from a category of business that we can easily have conversations with. And so I think that's your investment thesis, is the change in supply and demand, and where there's a jam up. And then you can put this jaw-dropping solution that we have, this overlay for agencies in the supply-demand imbalance, and free up this imbalance. And to me, that's the investment thesis, like why there's an opportunity for us to exist.
Yeah, makes sense. And I measured in that the CAGR of not only digital marketing, but digital marketing with AI integration projected through 2030 versus huge industries, manufacturing and real estate and all of them. And it's not even close. So what you just said is the truth. And the reason it's the truth in this industry, in this sector, is because of the integration of AI into digital marketing. So not only digital marketing, but as soon as these agencies that, I have ownership in, that are operating independently, whatever, really begin to crack the code and make it easier for the end user, the consumer, to get ads live, to run their ads, to optimize the algorithm on how they're running digital marketing ads and capture leads at a lower rate and higher quality leads for chiropractors and gyms and all these things. Once AI truly integrates and does that, the demand, it's already growing, but the demand is going to grow that much more.
So that's good. If you nail that down, I think the other two things that I've seen that super effective, and you touched on it, is this proprietary nature of deal flow. And so I would describe it, with the way you describe it as personal, I would describe it as structural. So the way I've seen it done before is we have a consulting agency. And so we have big Fortune, this is another fund that I saw had this structural relationship. So we have a consulting firm, and Fortune 500 companies hire us to do big data projects. And then out of those big data projects, we see opportunities of stuff that not just one firm needs, but all the firms need. And when we see that, then we're able to pull in a team, the team that did that, and move it over to our capital business. And we've got a proprietary deal with a customer sitting on the other side. That's structural.
Yes.
I run around and go to, unfortunately, drink 3 martinis and go to parties in West Hollywood and Miami, and I run into these people and I become friends with them, and then I go down their yachts and then they give me these deals. Is not structural. It depends on interpersonal relations. It's not wrong, right? But the strength of it is structural. I think the second thing for a fund, or the third thing, so we talked about the moving tectonics. We talked about then the proprietary source of deal flow. And then I think the third piece is liquidity, right? So suspend disbelief for a moment that we can do the business plan, that the investment thesis is correct, that the fund is managed with correct financial controls, third-party administrator, all the good stuff, third-party reporting, all the stuff you would expect. What is our plan to monetize the fund? What do we see if we've got 8 agencies doing $10 million in income? What is that worth in 5 years, and how do we provide liquidity? Because very likely your investors are not guys with 5 or 7 or 10-year hold periods in their mind, right? They're like, hey, I'd like to put in $250,000, $750,000, and I'd like to know when that money comes back with friends. I think if you can solve those 3 things, that your fund conversations go really smoothly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. I appreciate that advice. And again, I'm not acting to be like an expert in this world yet. I know I got the knowledge in that world, digital marketing. I know I have the determination, which I don't know how you categorize that, but I appreciate it.
Excellent. All right, Gil, I think we're rounding the corner on time. Thank you so much for being here on the Game of Money podcast. This is a really interesting conversation for me, and seeing inside your mind was really enjoyable. Appreciate you coming here and taking time off from your business, your family, yourself, and doing this for what? For everybody else's benefit. So I appreciate you stepping up to that.
Absolutely. You're welcome. It's great talking with you, man. Read both of your books, and having a conversation with you is awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Gil.